You gotta destroy
You lose your little mind in my dead lights. Like all the others. Like all the others.
Hey guys, welcome to Horror Me. I'm your host, Darren Mitchell. And on today's video, I thought we would do something a little bit different. I know I've been doing like the packing of the boxes and the bins in the room, but I kind of wanted to shift gears for a second here and do something a little bit fun and try to get some community participation in on this as well. Basically, this is something I wanted to start, and if you feel compelled to do a video as well and show off some things from your collections or things that you just have around your house or define you as a horror collector, or just the love for horror itself, I urge you to please take part in this. I am going to tag 3 people at the end of this video that I'd like to see do a video on this. So hopefully you guys will participate as well. But what I thought we would do for today's video is I went around my room and I was just kind of looking around, and I picked out 4 pieces today for this video that I feel define me as a horror collector and a horror lover in general. These are things that I would never sell. This isn't things that I'm going to talk about like the rarity or the value, because in this circumstance it's not really something that would change my decision on that, why I chose it for today. It's really simply because I wanted to show them to you guys and tell you why they're important to me and why I feel like it defined me as a horror collector and horror lover. So the first thing I wanted to start out with was something that I picked up a few years ago. Some of you guys have seen this stuff before, some of you guys may not have. If you've been following my channel for a long time, you most likely have seen these pieces. But to me, the first piece I decided to show off today and kind of talk about a little bit was this remake Evil Dead 2 skull that was done by an artist. The cool thing about this piece is it was actually some of the materials used were used by Linda's graves from Linda's gravesite in the woods in Evil Dead 2. So the skull itself is actually placed on actual coal from the site where she was buried. So that itself is very cool. And then on top of that, there's a cross, as in the movie, that is also from sticks that were in the woods at her gravesite. That kind of just pops in the back here. So it's just a really interesting piece. You guys know my love for Evil Dead 2 and the whole Evil Dead franchise. And this really defines to me as a horror lover, because I have so many memories of just watching Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness when I was younger. Those were movies that really kind of captivated me and interested me. Even today, watching Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, just the filmography and the way that Sam Raimi put all the stuff on screen is just something that's kind of still studied in schools today, in colleges and film schools, about how they got away with just pulling off some of the like the fast movements through the woods, and how they actually crashed the camera through the car windshields. They didn't have steady cams at the time. And the older I've gotten and the more I appreciate these films, they're just near and dear to my heart. So this is one piece I picked out today to show you guys and why I'm kind of obsessed with Evil Dead. Not this piece in particular, but just what it reminds me of. And being a young horror lover, and just wanting to continue doing that through the rest of my life. So I hope you guys enjoy that piece. I'm going to set that down. Actually, I'll move it to the side. Up next is another piece in that Army or Evil Dead Army of Darkness type of trend. But after Evil Dead 2, they did Army of Darkness in 1993. This is a piece that I obtained a few years ago. This is an original released Evil Ash from Army of Darkness statue. It just happens to be that some of the pieces I chose today are kind of more statues types of things, but I'll show you the piece here. Really, really gnarly piece. Again, this came out in 1993 alongside the movie. And it's something you don't see very often. Again, we're not going to talk about rarity and stuff like that, but this just epitomizes Army of Darkness film to me. There was just so many cool elements to that movie that I fell in love with. I still to this day will watch it religiously. Everything from the Ray Harryhausen skeletons, claymation, to the pit, to Bruce Campbell's Sheila, the winged demon. There's just so many cool elements to that movie, and it just stuck with me as a child. And I love it still very much to this day. So when I look at this piece, it's just another reminder of why I love that franchise and why it's standing the test of time for me. So I'll set that down. We'll go up with another one here. Up next is another film. Some people can argue this is horror, this isn't horror. It's always been a horror film to me, just because how dark it is with like the goblins in the beginning with Blix, and the other goblins, and then Tim Curry playing the darkness. This is a statue, a Soda Toy statue of darkness himself, Tim Curry. This is another piece that every time I look at it, it just really embodies the movie to me. He's got the unicorn horn in his hand. It's just a really iconic part to the movie when they cut off the unicorn's horn, and he's kind of holding it up, and he's got the power now. And I just really, really love this piece. I know there's a lot of darkness pieces out there, especially Soda Toys. They did some figures. They've done giant busts of it that are crazy expensive, but this piece I really, really like. It sits nice on a shelf. It's really enjoyable to look at, and it just reminds me of how much I really, really like Legend. Again, you can argue if this is a horror film or not, but in my opinion it is. And it just goes with that whole mythos of like fantasy and horror, dark horror. But again, I really, really love this. I love this movie. This is another one that I just remember throwing the tape on, and me and my brother used to watch it all the time. It's just one of those movies where it starts off so delicate, with the woods and Jack in the Woods. I think her name was Lily, with Lily. And then it just progressively gets darker and darker and darker throughout the movie. And that was just something that always kind of stuck out to me, and a reason I love Legend today. So cool. I'll set that down and we'll look at the final piece. The final piece I chose for today for this video is one that kind of just shaped me in general. As I got older, I started to look more into the older films, obviously, in horror, and not so much the stuff that I watched when I was a younger kid. And that just really brought me back to the basics with Universal Monsters. Have a huge affinity for Universal Monsters. Pretty much everyone that ever came out. Some of the spin-offs I'm not so much into, but I still enjoy them because of the context of the films. But this one really, to me, just has such a presence to it, and it just goes along with the love I have for Bela Lugosi and Bela Lugosi's Dracula. It just has such a nice presence to it with the cape winged over, and the stained glass in the back with the bats. Every time I look at this, it just kind of reminds me that I have such a love for Universal Monsters, and especially Dracula. When I look at this stuff, and I have other pieces with Universal Monsters, as you guys know, but there's just something about this specific one that kind of triggers like memories from the movie. I don't know, when I look at this, it kind of reminds me of like the shadow when he's coming down the steps in the castle, and it just kind of gives me a little bit of nostalgia. So that's something I decided to pick out and show you guys for today. I know you've probably seen this piece a few times on this channel, but to me, this just screams Universal Monsters to me. So I want to say thanks, guys, for checking out this little video today, and I urge you guys to also pick out a few things from your collection and tag Horror Me in it if you want to, but we're going to call this like collection memories or something like that. I'll call it collection memories, pieces from around the room, or something similar to that. But the people I've decided to do this video for this, and then if they want to choose other people to continue this trend and have this thing keep going, is I would like to choose Uncaped Crusaders, Craig McLaughlin, the FUC Larry Family Unboxing channel, so Larry Mark, and I'd also like to tag Paul Derrick from Slasher Junkie. And I'm also going to throw in another two. How about Jordan Nunn from Horrorhound 85, and we'll also do Steven's Horror Craptacular as well. So those 5 people, I'd like to see you guys do a video just choosing a couple things from around your room, and just talk about why it's important to you and why it's kind of solidified you as a horror collector or horror lover, and kind of just give some background of, you know, each piece and kind of, you know, why you fell in love with the genre. So I want to say thanks, guys. I hope you guys will partake in this, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you guys enjoyed this content and would like to see future episodes of Horror in Me, please subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to keep in contact with me to see more of my content, you can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search Horror in Me. See you guys next time.